A monstrous hurricane has officially made landfall on Florida's Gulf Coast. This is a live look at Tampa, where you can see the rain and the wind is in force in that city tonight as well. Already, more than 1 million customers are without power, and that number is going up quickly. Forecasters predict Milton could be one of the most destructive storms on record for the Sunshine State. Before making landfall, intense rain, fierce wind, and tornadoes pounded Florida. This is a look at a funnel cloud in Clewiston, which is about halfway between Fort Myers and Palm Beach. And here's a look at a suspected tornado in action in Fort Myers. As of news time tonight, more than 130 tornado warnings had been issued and around 20 tornadoes had been confirmed. Good evening, I'm Randy Meyer.
And I'm Kelsey Carlson. We do have live team coverage of Hurricane Milton tonight. Chelsea Torres is on the ground in Florida with the latest conditions there, while Mike Manzoni is tracking the impact on travel. And Leon Purvis is diving deeper into misinformation that's been circulating. First, though, we begin with Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard with a look at the radar as this storm is making landfall.
You know, we promised a monster, and it definitely was. By the way, landfall was at 7:30 our time Central. Came ashore right at Siesta Key. So if you know that area, it's pretty much Sarasota. Came ashore and made landfall as a Category 3 with winds at around 123 miles per hour. Now dropped to a Category 2, still moving to the east-northeast at quite a clip, 16 miles per hour, and central pressure at around 958 millibars. This storm will continue to work, and I mentioned this last night, meteorologically incredible as a Category 1 hurricane across the entire Florida peninsula, and that includes a rocking time around parts of Orlando. In the last 25 minutes, we've had a 102 mile per hour wind gust in Sarasota, and there it gives you a real good idea of where the center of the storm is after landfall. So now let's talk about a couple of things that are going on. The winds. You know, when you watch me and we're tracking tornadoes, and I talk a lot about Doppler velocity. Well, here's the velocity, and that line right there and this line right here all rotating around in this fashion, bringing wind gusts between 80 and 110 miles per hour. That will include Sarasota in the next 20 minutes, Bradenton in the next 20 minutes, and then working around to areas like Lakeland, which is 30 or 40 miles off to the north and to the northeast of Tampa. Now, the I-4 corridor all the way to Orlando. You want to talk rain. This is a double shot here. We have the storm surge with salt water, and then we have the rain falling down. We could easily see a foot to 18 inches of rain along the I-4 corridor. Couple that with the storm surge on the coast, and this is a massive problem as we look through tonight because of that flash flood warnings from Ocala over to Daytona Beach, through Orlando, off to Melbourne, and then all the way back to Sarasota, St. Pete, and Tampa. These flash flood warnings are what are known as particularly dangerous situations. In other words, it is going to get worse before it gets better tonight as Milton continues to rock the state of Florida. Of course, still a lot to unpack. We'll talk about this and what happens next for the East Coast coming up at 9:30.
All right, Ian, thank you. Millions have heeded those mandatory evacuation orders. Fox's Chelsea Torres is live in Lakeland, Florida, now just 40 minutes east of Tampa. Chelsea, what is it like there where you are?
That's Randy, Kelsey, I can tell you right now these winds are intense right now. These gusts are really strong. You can see the trees behind me swaying. Even out in the distance, you can see them. And the rain right now, it's been coming down hard all evening to the point where even visibility in the distance is very difficult. I've also seen a lot of debris already thrown about where I am. There's also a table and chairs that have been thrown behind me. So that just kind of goes to show how strong these winds have been. There's already that flash flood warning that we've seen here, tornado watches throughout the entire peninsula of Florida, and a lot of mandatory evacuations along the coast near Tampa. But where I'm at in Lakeland, about 40 minutes east of Tampa, they did not have a mandatory evacuation, but they were telling people that they should not be on the roads by noon today. However, if you were living in a mobile home or even in a low-lying area, they asked you to find another place to stay for the night. Right here in Lakeland, in this area, there's about 20 shelters throughout throughout the entire state, there's 150, and tens of thousands of people are staying in these shelters just waiting out for Milton to pass through. Where Lakeland is, we're right here on the corridor from Tampa to Orlando, and so a lot of people had been evacuating the past few days. I met one woman earlier today who evacuated from Clearwater Beach. She tells me she had prepped her home. She was planning to wait it out, ride out the storm. It wasn't until one of her friends called her and said, no, you need to get out of there. You can come stay with me.
Even though I'm not a non-evacuated Zone D, no flooded area, but it's everything that I hear on the news, it's that it's going to be a really bad one. So I'm glad that I find a way to get out of there.
1.3 million households right now do not have power. The governor of Florida did say 50,000 linemen are on standby once Milton passes through the state. We know that FEMA also has thousands of workers on the ground that have already been here helping with recovery after Helene, and there'll be more waiting for any search and rescue that may need to happen here in Florida. In Lakeland, Florida, Chelsea Torres, Fox 9.
All right, Chelsea, thank you. Tonight, the last flights from Florida will touch down in the Twin Cities. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni is live at MSP for us tonight. And Mike, you did catch up with people who got out of Florida just in time.
Yeah, some of them scrambled to find a different flight home. Others had trouble even making it to the airport. When a monster storm like Hurricane Milton approaches,
So I was panicking, like, what am I going to do if I don't get out of Miami?
getting out of its way isn't easy.
Are we going to be stuck in traffic? Is there going to be gas? Because we're not from there. We've never evacuated. I know what to do in a snowstorm. I don't know what to do in a hurricane.
Elizabeth Vidston from Shakopee owns a company that takes adults with disabilities on vacation. They spent just a day at Disney World on Monday before weather reports started making them uneasy. That's when they drove to Miami to find a way home to the Twin Cities.
Until I was on that flight, I was nervous, and then I had a sense of relief.
Others, like Scott Sowers from Duluth, already had plans to fly back before the hurricane hit.
We stuck with our original flights, and I got to imagine we were one of the last ones to make it.
But just getting to the airport in Fort Lauderdale with his wife and baby proved difficult.
My rental had to stop at 10 different gas stations in order to fill up the tank in the vehicle. So just kind of goes to show how many people were starting to scatter and travel kind of all at one time.
And many Florida airports shut down either today or yesterday, but 2 more flights from Miami will head into the Twin Cities tonight. The next one is set to land within the next 90 minutes or so. We're live at MSP tonight. Mike Manzoni, Fox 9.
All right. A lot of stories come with those travelers. Thank you, Mike.